Hi, everyone. Rob Delf from Fabric here. I wanted to share a sort of summer 2026 update around Xytech's technical roadmap, looking from really this fall out 5 years, or as much as we know today. So, jumping in, as you may or may not be aware, our portfolio of products includes Fabric Origin, which is title and metadata software, and it also includes Xytech. I'm going to be primarily focused on Xytech here. Within Xytech, we've got three sort of functional areas: that's Xytech operations, Xytech media, and Xytech transmission. The big new things within Xytech are going to be a new UI, and I'll go through that in a little bit, as well as a significant amount of foundational technical innovation and upgrades. And all what those have enabled us to do is actually provide that top layer, which is the AI and MCP agents that sit on top of both products. If we look a little bit back about where we came from and then what's next as a precursor, in September of 2024, Fabric and Xytech came together. We did a significant amount of deep dives and customer analysis to kick off what we're calling this modernization program, which we're, let's call it 90% of the way through. And that's really what we want to talk about today. That plan really started to come together by December of 2025, when we had made the decision to re-platform the infrastructure from Azure to AWS. That wasn't just a shift of cloud provider. It was a sort of ground up re-engineering effort in terms of the services that are being used under the hood, and to really take advantage of those cloud native or managed services. In April of this year, at the National Association of Broadcasters show, NAB, we released the beta version of X2, which is the new user interface for Xytech. And that's also running on that new technical foundation. We were only able to create that new UI because of the elements that we'd actually, rebuilt from an infrastructure side. Coming up in August, we're near the end of July right now. So August of this year, we'll be migrating the backend from SQL Server RDS to Aurora Postgres Serverless V2. The big benefit that we get out of this is we get scalability with zero downtime. So on the Aurora Postgres platform, we can scale down as work goes down, and we can really scale up to handle an unlimited volume. So for those of you who are using Xytech today and you experience slowdowns at, say, 10 a.m. or when a huge scheduling job is going through, that will be a thing of the past, given that we can auto scale the data functions. By October of this year, we're also moving to .NET 10 from the current .NET environment. And what that enables is actually a containerless runtime environment, which means we can horizontally scale that as well. At the same time, that's when the general availability of X2 will be included. So certain customers are testing and implementing X2 now. By later this year, that'll be available for all of our customers. And then it also includes our in-app AI tools and MCP tools. And I promise I'll go through a few of these slides here, and then I'll get into some of the demo as well. What we delivered since January of 2025, I think this is a big deal because it's been a busy year. So I'd mentioned that AWS infrastructure replatform. That was complete. We then migrated all of our customers over to AWS. At this point, we still have a few left to go, but we migrated the APIs to AWS's API gateway. The key for this is that the API services used to run against the servers themselves, and now they're going through a gateway for, again, better scalability, reliability, error handling, tracking, throttling, all of that stuff. We also released our Xytech MCP server, so you can bring your own models or plug Xytech into whatever agentic enterprise solution you're using today. That is OAuth constructed MCP endpoint. More details are available on our website. There's a significant amount of knowledge base articles and Gitbook instruction manuals on how to connect to that. That is only available if you're on the most recent version of Xytech and in our cloud. We launched the Xytech Mobile for cloud customers again. So, and I'll give a little preview of that, but that allows you to look at your calendar, work order details, actualize, do things like request time off, push notifications, all from your phone. We also did a scheduling prototype with AWS, which is now complete, which allows you to do things like, hey, I'm looking to book out a certain event and I need these resources. And the agent will go through a multi-step process whereby it looks up any resource constraints and, through a human in the loop prompt, we'll actually schedule and assign those resources according to your preferences. It's a big time saver for our customers who do a lot of complicated scheduling activities. And then we also rolled out our X2 beta, and we are continuing to iterate on that week by week today. So given that it's July, I think the big takeaway is we've done a tremendous amount since January, and we have a lot left for the rest of the year. If we look specifically at the Xytech AWS architecture, just kind of to get everyone up to speed, currently the data tier is in AWS RDS on SQL Server. It is moving to Postgres on Aurora Serverless. That'll give us all kinds of scaling, multi-availability zone redundancy, which we have some of with SQL RDS. We just don't have as many tools. The application tier then will be migrated to .NET 10. That'll be complete in October. We'll make our, for those of you who are used to very slow release cycles from the Xytech product, it will enable us to do a much faster rollout of both bug updates as well as any feature function updates. That API tier is an API gateway plus Lambda functions, which improves all of the definitions of the API endpoint. One thing that's not mentioned in the deck that is worth pointing out, but we have released our API v3, so the next version of the API. A lot of the work there was around sort of efficiency of certain API queries, as well as taking advantage of these new enhancements. The AI tier, so you'll notice when I walk through the platform, there is a new AI component in the UI where you can ask natural language questions. All of that is running through Amazon Bedrock, and the interfaces there, the APIs, all of that is being driven from the exact same APIs as the user interface. So there's no surprises. They all go through the same routes. And then another kind of like big thing around our infrastructure is that everything is infrastructure as code. So all of our environments are the same, which enables our teams to better support all of our customers across regions, across time zones, and all of the various usage of Xytech. One of the sort of buzzwords out there are MCPs. And so what we've done is we've taken about 170 of the most common tools or actions in Xytech and wrapped MCP endpoints around them and decorated them for agents. Again, a lot of this documentation exists on Gitbook, and I encourage you to go to our website to find those. But those are all, the MCP is wrapping REST APIs on our API gateway. The MCP wraps those into tools that are pretty well defined for everything that you want to do. That MCP allows you to bring your own model. So you can connect it straight into Claude Cowork, GPT, or whatever you may want to use, even an LLM in a terminal window. And then that's the same pattern in Xytech as we have on our companion product, which is Origin Studio, which ships with a full MCP built into it and an AI agent. So again, we're starting to federate all of the tools across our application stack, which is really nice to see. So there's not a lot of differences. The agent design will actually go through a transformer step in the beginning to figure out what are hard problems versus, hey, give me the status or cost overrun on job XYZ. We'll figure out whether or not it needs to do sort of multi-step functions within it, or if it can just call the specific tools and return the data and interpret. We have tested this substantially with some customers, and it is a very, very big time saver. Again, a lot of these functions and features are only available if you're on the latest versions of Xytech and in our AWS. So now to that's a lot on the infrastructure. And the reason why we did all that infrastructure and those upgrades is so that we could get to new UI. So X2 is what we're calling the new front end for Xytech. And this is an update that I feel like our customers have been waiting for a very long time. It's comprehensive. It is based upon all of the same UIs. So one of the key things is that we're not rebuilding any of the complex business logic that Xytech is known to be able to perform. That all stays the same. This is a much faster, more responsive UI that sits on top of those APIs and allows you to get work done faster. The functional roadmap kind of for X2, we started, January this year. A lot of the infrastructure and background work was done prior to that. And we started off with sort of standalone time entry, job management, users, roles, employees, my calendar, a lot of the common objects. And then by the end of Q4 of this year, we'll have sort of iterations and be able to handle, let's call it 90% of the functionality that most of our customers use in Xytech today. A key thing to point out is that we're not going to bring over every single feature function that existed in the existing Xytech interface. The users will be able to do, our users will be able to do everything that they were able to before, but not every nuance will be brought in as we're moving towards a more modern user interface paradigm. Then if we go a little bit deeper into our Xytech AI, within the app, you can see the little picture on the screen, and I'll give a demonstration of it, is you can ask natural language questions. You can ask it what it can do. You can do data imports, exports this way, updates, as well as much more complicated tasks. So here's a scheduling problem I currently have, go figure out the best resources based upon their qualifications. It can really handle a lot of those more complex tasks. And that can be done in the application as well as connected to outside the application if you want other agents to actually do work on behalf of within the Xytech platform. So let's look at the rest of 2026. We're in July. So in July, our companion product, Origin Studio, that AI agent is generally available. So that content, that agent ships with the full MCP in it. That's done, delivered. When we look at August of 2026, Xytech, the Aurora Postgres SQL will be implemented, as well as we're a little ahead of schedule on the .NET 10 migration. So between August, September, October, those will be going out. And by October of 2026, we'll have X2 in a GA place, and we'll begin to roll it out to those customers who are on the latest version of Xytech. I know I keep saying this, and AWS. And the reason for that is a lot of the underlying feature functions depend upon those cloud native objects like, SQS services and other items there, including obviously Bedrock Agent Core as the agentic framework. So from there, if we look at sort of the technical arc, we've done a lot this year. We're looking forward to getting that out into the hands of our customers. And I kind of see it as 2026 being the foundation is complete. So we've modernized, we're in a great spot to move forward. And then throughout the next 3 years, we probably won't have as dramatic of a shift as we've had from 25 through to today, but we'll continue to lean into agent-assisted ops. We have a couple of those in there now, but I see us becoming a real agent factory for the things that are most commonly done and accessed. By 2028, I suspect we'll have a fair amount of autonomous workflows, and we are in conversations with key customers right now to map out what that looks like. Those can be, when I say autonomous, just so we're clear, it means, let's say there's a business event, someone calls in sick, a stage breaks down, camera gets stolen, to automatically rebook and reassign and reschedule based upon the business action. It's kind of autonomous workflows. By 2029, I think that, where we're going here is it becomes more of a headless first. So Xytech and its business logic gets consumed as the persistence and business logic layer. And then by 2030, really outcome-driven operations. So here's what we need to get done. Platform plans, executes, and reconciles the whole thing. And I'm a little reticent to make 5-year predictions because of how much change has happened so far this year. But this would be my general analysis of where we're going. So with that, enough talking. I'm actually going to jump over to and show you X2. So I've logged in to the X2 interface. This is my screen. I'll do a pretty high-level flyby of every one of the apps. What I'm presented with first is just my calendar view. So I can see it on a day, a week, a month, overall agenda type view. The same goes, by the way, as if I'm in the mobile app. So if I pop up the mobile app and I'm on an iPhone 17 Pro, here's my week view. You can see where my days are. I can look at the actual booking details. Here they are. I can do things like request time off, look at what requests I have. I could request some time if needed to, what type it is. So there's a fair amount that can be done from a remote work perspective. If I am in my calendar and I open up my booking for the day, I then can do things like actualize or enter hours against it. All of that's available in the mobile app as well. It's driven off a similar responsive UI, just with less options in the menu dropdown. So in here, we've got my calendar, contacts, and time entry versus the full web app that has a lot more items that can be done. Okay, great. So if I just go down the module side, these will look pretty familiar if you're used to Xytech. All of your customer details in here, any contacts, so those would be people you're doing jobs against. We do have full quotes. Those quotes then can actually be converted into orders. Once they're done, you have all your quote line items. Once a quote is approved, and you can go through different approval workflows, that will then turn into a job, and a job with multiple work order line items. If I look up a given job, we can look into a job itself. We can see all the relevant job information. We do handle elegantly all of the custom or configurable fields that have been set up in Xytech. Again, we're pulling across the exact same configuration. So you can think of this interface as less of a re-implementation. It's more, if you've upgraded to the latest version, we now can connect this interface into your existing Xytech environment. So it makes the upgrade path pretty easy. You can see all your various work orders against a job and the status they're in. Opening up any work order will take you into, the individual transaction for a work order line item. We do have the rental, the check-in, check-out, transmission orders. So in any transmission order, you can go in and we have a visual representation of the path. These can be moved around. You can add services, list view, a fair amount within transmission that has been upgraded from even what exists in the existing Xytech interface. That includes things like the MCR views and other components of transmission. Media orders, these are coming together nicely in that let's go look at ingest order. So within a given ingest order, you can see, in a given ingest order, you can see all the line items related to it, what services are there, different operations. Again, this is running in the cloud, so it is very fast. I'm not running this locally. It's coming from our servers. Probably one of the biggest areas, I'll jump there now, is around schedules. So schedules, the schedule book, as it's known, has always been a really critical area for our users. We spent a lot of time making the schedule book, the new version of it, really flexible, really dynamic, including things like utilization, within it itself and hotkeys. So if I just need to flip through days, I'm just using the arrows as I'm going through the timeline. And then in a similar way, I can change the resources that I'm seeing by adding them in. If I wanted to add audio rooms, they will pop into my screen. Now I can see all the audio rooms and what's been booked or what's been unassigned. So a lot of flexibility there. From a resource perspective, this should seem, similar to what you're used to. You can see your people, your equipment, your facilities. On the sort of equipment tracking side of it, we have been able to pull in some additional features and functions. And this is kind of key because when we move to a new UI, we also want to add in sort of additional functions that we know our customers are asking for. And that could include things like movement history. So I could see, like on a map where a camera has been, where it's gone. We can plug into GPS components. Full time entries, so I can see not only my own timesheet, I can add time entries for jobs by activity, but a manager then can go in and look at their team, look at their employees. I happen to not have any employees, so they can go through that. Handling payroll rules, all of the billing and the billing codes and the invoicing, all the things that you would come to expect or of from your existing Xytech implementation, and then finally setup. So all that configuration is still exposed to super admins, including things like layouts, so the custom screen layouts, where you want things to show up, if there's visibility rules, etc. So I know that's been a very fast flyby, and the purpose of this video is really to give a quick rundown of what we've been doing, next generation of Xytech, and specifically the Xytech platform is. So that wraps up this quick video. I'm glad you watched. We're attaching this to all of our support tickets because we want to get the word out there.